Hey gang, welcome to the Tycoon Teller Stories channel. Picture this, a wedding so lavish it could rival a Hollywood premiere. Crystal chandeliers gleam overhead, white roses cascade down every aisle, and the bride radiant in her designer gown stands poised to say, "I do." The groom fidgets nervously, adjusting his tie. Then, out of nowhere, a figure rises from the back of the room, a woman in a tattered coat, her hair wild, her eyes blazing. She points a trembling finger at the couple and yells, "You destroyed my life!" The crowd gasps, champagne glasses clatter to the floor, and the bride's face turns to stone. What she says next unravels everything. How did it come to this? Buckle up, because this is a tale of love, betrayal, and revenge that'll leave you speechless. Alex Carter wasn't always the guarded, solitary man he'd become. Once, he was the golden boy of Silicon Valley tech genius with a mop of messy brown hair, a disarming smile, and a laugh that could thaw the iciest room. At 25, he'd launched a startup in his cramped garage, fueled by cheap coffee and big dreams. By 30, that startup had exploded into a multi-million-dollar empire, specializing in cutting-edge software that companies couldn't live without. Alex had the world at his feet, wealth, respect, and a penthouse overlooking the city skyline. But what really made Alex shine was Emily Harper, the woman who'd stolen his heart. They met at a charity gala 3 years earlier, where she'd glided across the room in a silver dress that hugged her curves like liquid moonlight. Blonde hair spilled over her shoulders in perfect waves, and her blue eyes locked onto his with an intensity that made his knees weak. She was witty, ambitious, and seemed to adore him as much as he adored her. After 2 years of late-night talks, weekend getaways, and shared dreams, Alex proposed under a sky full of stars, slipping a diamond ring onto her finger. She said yes, and he thought life couldn't get better. That is, until the night it all fell apart. They were at La Bella Vita, their favorite Italian spot, surrounded by candlelight and the hum of soft jazz. Alex was mid-sentence, laughing about a glitch at work, when Emily's expression shifted, her warmth replaced by something cold and distant. She set her wine glass down with a deliberate clink and said, "Alex, I don't love you anymore. It's over." He blinked, the words hitting him like a punch to the gut. "What? Emily, what are you talking about?" She didn't flinch. "I'm leaving you for Mark. He's better for me. More my speed." Mark Reynoldsa, name Alex knew too well. A slick, arrogant businessman with a private jet, a garage full of Ferraris, and a reputation for collecting whatever or whoever he wanted. Alex's mind reeled. "Mark, how long has this been going on?" Emily shrugged, as if it didn't matter. "Long enough. I'm sorry, Alex, but I need someone who matches my ambition. You're too comfortable." "Comfortable?" His voice cracked. "I built a company from nothing. I gave you everything." She stood, smoothing her dress. "Not enough. Goodbye, Alex." She walked out, her heels clicking on the tile, leaving him staring at a plate of cold pasta and a bill he didn't want to pay. For months, Alex was a ghost. He stopped shaving, stopped socializing, stopped caring. His friends tried to pull him out of it, dragging him to bars, setting him up on dates, but he'd just sit there, nursing a beer, replaying Emily's words. Work became his only escape, a place to bury the pain under spreadsheets and code. But even millions in the bank couldn't fill the hole she'd left. One dreary afternoon, nearly a year after the breakup, Alex wandered downtown, his trench coat soaked from a sudden downpour. He wasn't paying attention, lost in the fog of his thoughts, when he tripped over something or someone sprawled across a bench. "Watch where you're going, buddy," a voice snapped, sharp but not hostile. He looked down and saw her, a woman wrapped in a threadbare blanket, her dark hair plastered to her face by the rain. She was eating a sandwich from a crumpled wrapper, her green eyes glaring up at him with a mix of annoyance and exhaustion. "Sorry," Alex muttered, stepping back. He started to walk away, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way she didn't shrink under his gaze, or the spark of defiance in her eyes, despite her circumstances. "Are you okay?" he asked, the words slipping out before he could stop them. She wiped her hands on her faded jeans and shrugged. been better. Name's Sarah. Alex. He hesitated, then sat beside her, the bench creaking under his weight. He didn't know why he stayed. Maybe he was just tired of being alone. They talked, and to his surprise, Sarah was quick-witted and funny, cutting through his gloom with dry humor. "So, rich guy like you," she said, nodding at his expensive coat. "What's got you moping around in the rain?" He chuckled, the sound rusty from disuse. "Bad breakup." "You?" "Bad life," she replied, but there was no self-pity in her tone-just fact. The next day, Alex came back with 2 coffees. The day after, he brought burgers. Soon it was a routine. They'd meet on that bench, sharing food and stories. Sarah had a way of pulling him out of his shell, making him laugh until his sides hurt. One night, over a bag of fries under a flickering street lamp, she finally opened up. "I wasn't always like this," she said, her voice low. "I had a good job accountant at a big firm. Nice place downtown, fiancé. I thought I'd marry. Then my best friend stole him, trashed my life, and here I am." Alex frowned, leaning closer. "That's awful. Who did that to you?" She stared at the ground, picking at a fry. Her name was Emily. His was Mark. The names hit him like a freight train. Emily, blonde, blue eyes, walks like she owns the world. Mark, tall, always in a suit that costs more than a car. Sarah's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. "Yeah, you know them?" "They're my ex-fiancé and the guy she left me for," Alex said, his voice tight. "They're getting married next week." Sarah's jaw dropped. "You're serious?" He pulled a cream-colored envelope from his pocket, an ornate wedding invitation with gold lettering. "Got this yesterday. I wasn't going to go, but I can't not show up. They'll think I'm still pining." A slow, dangerous smile spread across Sarah's face. "Take me with you." "What?" Alex blinked, caught off guard. "As your date," she said, her eyes glinting with mischief. "I'll clean up, wear something decent. Let's see how they like me crashing their perfect day." He laughed louder than he had in months. "You're insane." "But, yeah, let's do it." To understand why Sarah was so eager to face Emily again, we need to rewind 10 years to when Sarah's life was still whole and Emily tore it apart with ruthless precision. Sarah Bennett had been a star at Harper & Stone Accounting, a firm known for handling high-profile clients. At 28, she was the youngest senior accountant, with a knack for untangling messy financials and a reputation for honesty. Her office was small but cozy, with a window overlooking the bustling city and a desk covered in framed photos. Her with her parents, her with her fiancé Mark, her with her best friend Emily. She lived in a charming apartment, a few blocks away, hardwood floors, a tiny balcony with potted plants, and a kitchen where she and Mark cooked dinners together. They'd been engaged for a year, planning a spring wedding, and Sarah thought life was perfect. Emily Harper had been her rock since college. They'd met freshman year, bonding over late-night study sessions and cheap wine. Emily was the bold one, blonde, beautiful, and fearless, while Sarah was the steady one, always there with a listening ear. They'd shared everything: secrets, dreams, heartbreaks. When Sarah started dating Mark, Emily was her biggest cheerleader, helping pick out the engagement ring and joking about being maid of honor. But then, cracks appeared. Mark started working late, claiming big projects at his investment firm. He'd come home distracted, his phone buzzing with texts he'd quickly hide. Emily grew distant, too, canceling plans, dodging calls, brushing Sarah off with vague excuses. Sarah's stomach twisted with unease, but she told herself it was nothing. They were busy. She was paranoid. Until the night, she couldn't ignore it anymore. She'd been on a work trip in Chicago, crunching numbers for a client, when a canceled flight brought her home a day early. It was pouring rain as she dragged her suitcase up the stairs to her apartment, dreaming of a hot shower in Mark's arms. She turned the key quietly, not wanting to wake him, and stepped inside. The sight stopped her cold. Mark and Emily were in her bed, the bed she'd bought with her first big paycheck, tangled in the sheets, laughing like they were in on some private joke. Clothes littered the floor: Mark's tie, Emily's red heels. A half-empty bottle of wine sat on the nightstand, 2 glasses beside it. Sarah's voice broke as she screamed, "What the hell is this?" Mark jolted upright, his face paling. "Sarah, oh God, back early." Emily didn't even flinch. She sat up, pulling the sheet around her, and smirked. "Oh, Sarah, don't make a scene. Mark and I are in love. You were just in the way." "In the way?" Sarah's hands shook, tears burning her eyes. "Emily, you're my best friend. Mark, we're engaged." Mark looked away, muttering, "I'm sorry, Sarah. It just happened." "Just happened?" she shouted. "How long?" 6 months, Emily said coolly, inspecting her nails. "We didn't want to hurt you, but you're so naive. You didn't even notice." Sarah lunged forward, wanting to slap that smug look off Emily's face, but Mark grabbed her arm. "Don't," he said, his voice weak. "Just end this calmly." "Calmly?" Sarah yanked free, her chest heaving. "Get out, both of you." They did, eventually Mark grabbing his clothes, Emily sauntering out like she'd won a prize. But Emily wasn't content with stealing Mark. She wanted Sarah broken. The next day, whispers started at work. Colleagues avoided Sarah's eyes, conversations dying when she walked in. Her boss called her into his office, his face grim. "Sarah, we've had a complaint. Emily says you've been falsifying record stealing from clients." "What?" Sarah's heart pounded. "That's a lie. I'd never." "She has evidence," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. Inside were doctored spreadsheets numbers Sarah had never seen, stamped with her digital signature. Emily had used her access as a friend to frame her. "I don't want to believe it," her boss continued. "But we can't risk the firm's reputation. You're fired." Sarah pleaded, but it was no use. Word spread fast. Clients dropped her, friends ghosted her, believing Emily's sob story about poor Mark and unstable Sarah. Emily didn't stop there. She told their social circle Sarah had cheated first, that she'd gone crazy with jealousy. She even called Sarah's landlord, claiming she was behind on rent, though Sarah had paid every month. Eviction papers arrived a week later. Mark took half their savings and vanished with Emily. With no job, no references, and a ruined reputation, Sarah couldn't find work. Bills piled up. Her car was repossessed. And soon, she was sleeping on a friend's couch until that friend, swayed by Emily's lies, asked her to leave. With no family to turn to, her parents had passed years earlier, Sarah hit rock bottom. She ended up on the streets, her belongings stuffed in a backpack, her pride shattered. For years, she survived on odd jobs and shelters, her heart hardening into a knot of anger and pain. Emily had taken everything her love, her career, her home, and left her with nothing but memories of betrayal. Sarah never dreamed she'd get a chance to fight back until Alex walked into her life. Sarah's idea to crash the wedding lit a fire in Alex he hadn't felt since Emily left. It was reckless, risky, and exactly what he needed to shake off the past. "You're sure about this?" he asked, leaning against his kitchen counter as they hashed out the plan. "Dead sure," Sarah said, her eyes fierce. "They deserve to squirm." The next few days were a blur of preparation. Alex took Sarah to a boutique downtown, ignoring her protests about the cost. She picked a deep green gown, sleeveless, floor-length, with a slit that showed just enough leg. It was simple but stunning, accentuating her lean frame and those piercing green eyes. Next, a salon. Her tangled hair transformed into a sleek, dark cascade. Her nails painted a bold red. When she stepped out, Alex's jaw dropped. "You look... wow." She smirked, smoothing the dress. "Good. I want them to choke on it." They rehearsed every detail, how they'd enter, where they'd sit, what Sarah would say. Alex, worried about security Mark's events, always had hired muscle butt. Sarah waved it off. "I've got no reputation to lose," she said. "They've already taken it all." The night before, they sat in Alex's penthouse, a sprawling space with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the glittering city. Sarah pulled a weathered stack of letters from her bag, tied with a frayed ribbon. "Found these in my apartment after they left," she said. handing them to Alex. Love notes they wrote while sneaking around. He skimmed one, his stomach turning. Sarah's so clueless. Can't wait to ditch her mark. Then another. She'll never suspect. You're all I want, Emily. The words dripped with arrogance, proof of their cruelty. You're bringing these? He asked. If I need to, Sarah said, her voice steel. They're my ammo. Alex studied her clenched jaw, her steady hands. She wasn't just out for revenge. She was a tactician, waiting for the right moment to strike. You're something else, he said, admiration warming his chest. She met his gaze, her expression softening. I just want them to feel it, the humiliation, the loss, even for a second. He nodded. They will. The wedding was a spectacle at the Grand Meridian Hotel, a venue dripping with old money charm. The ballroom sparkled with chandeliers, tables draped in silk, and a string quartet playing Vivaldi. Guests milled about in tailored suits and couture gowns, sipping Dom Perignon and buzzing about the power couple tying the knot. Alex and Sarah arrived arm in arm, turning heads as they stepped through the arched doors. He wore a sharp black tux, his hair tamed for once, while Sarah radiated quiet confidence in her green dress. Whispers followed them. Who's she? Alex Carter's date? She's gorgeous, but where'd he find her? Sarah's grip tightened on his arm, her first sign of nerves. You good? He murmured. Yeah, she breathed, scanning the room. Just been a while since I belonged somewhere like this. They took seats near the back, blending into the crowd as the ceremony began. Emily floated down the aisle, her white gown shimmering with Swarovski crystals, a veil trailing behind her like a royal train. She looked triumphant, her chin high, her smile a perfect mask. Mark waited at the altar, handsome in his bespoke suit, but his eyes darted nervously, his fingers tugging at his cuffs. Alex caught at the flicker of unease beneath the polish. Emily's gaze on Mark wasn't love. It was ownership. The priest's voice droned through the vows, but Alex barely listened. He watched Sarah, who sat stiffly, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles whitened. Her eyes never left the couple, tracking every move like a hunter. Then came the moment they'd planned for. If anyone here knows any reason why these two should not be joined, speak now or forever hold your peace. A hush fell, heavy and expectant. Alex held his breath. Slowly, Sarah rose to her feet. Sarah stepped into the aisle, her voice ringing out like a gunshot. Shut up! I object! The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. Emily's head whipped around, her smile vanishing as her eyes locked onto Sarah. Recognition hit, and her face twisted into a mask of shock and fury. Mark staggered back a step, his mouth gaping, his tan draining to a sickly gray. Who is this lunatic? Emily shrieked, her voice piercing the stunned silence. Security, remove her! Two burly guards started forward, but Sarah held her ground, chin up. You know me, Emily. I'm Sarah Bennett, your best friend, until you stabbed me in the back and took everything I had. The guests leaned forward, some clutching their pearls, others grinning at the drama unfolding. What's she talking about? A woman in a feathered hat whispered loudly. Sarah's voice trembled, but she pressed on, each word a dagger. 10 years ago, you and Mark were screwing around behind my back. I caught you in my own bed me fiancé and my best friend, laughing at me like I was nothing. But you didn't stop there, did you, Emily? You wanted me gone. Emily's eyes narrowed, her hands balling into fists. You're delusional. Sit down before you embarrass yourself more. Sarah ignored her, turning to the crowd. She spread lies, told everyone I cheated on Mark, that I was unstable. She framed me at work, faked evidence that I stole from clients. I lost my job, my friends, my home. She even got me evicted, made sure I had nowhere to go. I ended up on the streets because of you two. Mark stepped forward, his face crumpling. Sarah, I didn't mean. Shut up, Mark! Emily snapped, yanking him back. She's a liar, a homeless nutcase. Sarah reached into her clutch and pulled out the letters, holding them high. I've got proof. These are your love notes written while you were betraying me. Here's Mark. Sarah's so clueless. We'll be together soon. And Emily? She's too dumb to notice. Can't wait to ditch her. Should I keep going? The crowd buzzed, some shouting, "Read them!" A gray-haired man in a bow tie stood, waving his cane. "Let's hear it, girl." Emily lunged, clawing for the letters, but Sarah danced back, clutching them tight. "Not a chance," she said, her eyes blazing. "You don't get to bury this." Mark sank onto the altar steps, burying his face in his hands. "It's true," he mumbled, barely audible. "We did it. I'm sorry, Sarah." Emily whirled on him, her veil askew. "What? Mark, you moron? Don't admit that!" The priest coughed, tugging at his collar. Perhaps we should pause the proceedings?" Pandemonium broke loose. Guests surged to their feet, arguing and snapping photos. Emily's mother swooned into a rose-covered arch, knocking it over with a crash. A guy in a pinstripe suit whipped out his phone, filming with a gleeful, "This is going viral." Sarah turned to Alex, her chest heaving, a mix of triumph and exhaustion in her eyes. "That's enough, right?" "Yeah," he said, grabbing her hand. "Let's go." They bolted for the exit, weaving through stunned guests and dodging a waiter with a tray of flutes. Behind them, Emily's voice screeched, "This isn't over. You'll regret this." But for now, it was done. Sarah had struck her blow, and the truth was free. Outside, Alex and Sarah sprinted to his car, collapsing against it in a fit of breathless laughter. "You were unreal," Alex said, fumbling with the keys. They didn't know what hit them. Sarah grinned, clutching the letters like a trophy. "Felt so good to see their faces. Thanks for having my back." They peeled out, heading to a dive diner a few miles away. Over a plate of greasy fries and lukewarm coffee, they replayed the chaos Emily's meltdown, Mark's collapse, the guests' shock. "What now?" Sarah asked, twirling a fry in ketchup. Alex shrugged. "Wedding's toast, I bet. Mark's a wreck, and Emily's got damage control she can't spin." Sarah nodded, but her smile faded. "And me?" "I can't go back to that bench, Alex." "You're not," he said firmly. "I've got a spare room, stay with me. And my company needs an accountant. You're hired if you want it." Her eyes widened, searching his face. "Why help me like this?" "Because you're tough as hell," he said, his voice softening. "And I like having you around." She blushed, ducking her head. "I like you too." Weeks passed, and Sarah settled in. She moved into Alex's guest room, a bright space with a real bed and a view of the park, and threw herself into work at his company. Her skills were razor sharp, catching errors his old team had missed, and she brought a quiet energy that boosted morale. Alex found himself lingering at the office, drawn to her laugh, her quick mind, the way she'd tease him over burnt coffee. Weekends became theirs, exploring the city, sharing stories, building something new. Meanwhile, the wedding fallout went nuclear. Mark, drowning in guilt, spilled the whole story to a tabloid, painting Emily as the mastermind. She fired back, claiming Sarah was a con artist. But the letters leaked online by an anonymous guest sealed her fate. Social media roasted her, sponsors dropped her, and Mark's deals tanked. They split within a month, each pointing fingers as their perfect lives crumbled. But Emily Harper didn't lose gracefully. 3 months later, Alex's phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "You and your little girlfriend will pay. E." He showed Sarah, who frowned. "She's not done, is she?" "Nope," Alex said, unease prickling his skin. "We need to watch out." Trouble started small Sarah's car tires slashed. Anonymous calls at odd hours. Then one morning, she arrived at her new office to find it trashed. Files shredded, her laptop smashed. "Liar" scrawled in red paint across the wall. Alex called the cops, but Emily had an alibi out of town, confirmed by receipts. "She's clever," Sarah said, picking up a broken frame. "Always has been." Alex's jaw tightened. "We'll catch her." They set a trap. Alex leaked to a mutual friend that the original letters were in his office safe, knowing it'd reach Emily. That night, they hid in the darkened office, a camera ready. At midnight, the door creaked open. A figure in a black hoodie and mask crept in, beelining for the safe. With a slim tool, they cracked it open, empty. "Looking for these?" Alex stepped out, holding the letters. Sarah hit record as the intruder tore off the mask, Emily, her face contorted with rage. "You tricked me!" she snarled. "You trapped yourself," Sarah said coolly. "Cops are coming." Emily bolted for the door, but sirens wailed outside. Officers swarmed in, cuffing her as she spat curses. "This isn't over," she screamed as they dragged her away. Alex pulled Sarah close. "Think she means it?" "Maybe," Sarah said, leaning into him. "But we're tougher." Emily faced charges breaking and entering. Vandalism in bars kept her at bay. Sarah rebuilt her office, pouring her energy into Alex's company and launching a program to train homeless folks in accounting her way of giving back. She and Alex grew closer, their bond forged in fire. One spring day, he took her to their bench, now surrounded by blooming tulips. "Sarah," he said, pulling out a ring. "You've changed my life. Marry me?" Tears shone in her eyes as she laughed. "Only if I can crash Emily's next wedding, too." "Deal," he grinned, sliding the ring on. They kissed, the city alive around them, a testament to resilience and redemption. From a ruined wedding to a new beginning, their story of betrayal, revenge, and love proved that sometimes the best chapters come from the darkest pages. Want more wild stories? Smash that subscribe button, folks. Click the like button and share this story to your neighbors. Also, tap the notification bell for more interesting stories.